Marvel and Sony really fumbled a Spider-Man versus Venom movie in the MCU? We are cooked. Because Venom himself, Tom Hardy, just revealed some insane behind-the-scenes details on a Spider-Man and Venom crossover that got scrapped. And I'm letting you know right now, this is actually some good news. And me and you, we gotta talk about it. And this news comes to us exclusively from the playlist, where not only did Tom Hardy talk about the creative limits of the Venom movies, but also getting this close to a Venom and Spider-Man crossover. But ultimately, what nipped it in the bud was studio politics. When asked why there was no Venom crossover with Spider-Man, even Tom Hardy's kids asked the same question. Tom Hardy said, same problem with my children as well. I don't know how to answer that question. We got close. We got as close as I could possibly imagine getting, apart from doing a film together, which I would have loved to have done because that just means so much fun. Fundamentally, for me, it would have been for the kids. Because, you know, as much as adults love superhero films, as you can tell by the box office and why they're so successful, I think I'm constantly reminded by children how important these characters are, and the kids have a hard time understanding why their favorite characters aren't in films together. And this actually validates some rumors that we heard a couple of months ago for Spider-Man 4 and how they were trying to make it a Spider-Man versus Venom movie that would eventually lead to a team-up. With the rumored title back then for Spider-Man 4 being King in Black. But apparently there was a bunch of studio politics back and forth fighting on what Spider-Man 4 should really be about. And honestly, I'm glad it doesn't sound like they're going in this direction because no, really isn't just like a Spider-Man villain. He's an Avengers level threat. Way more cosmic than you think. But you already knew as soon as they introduced Tom Hardy as Venom, fans were going to be wondering, is he ever going to fight a Spider-Man? Tom Holland Spider-Man? Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? Shit, we'll take it. A lot of fans were upset that the two Toms weren't going to be going toe-to-toe in some type of movie. But let me tell you my thoughts. I think we dodged a big bullet. I'm letting you know right now, this is probably one of the best things that has never happened. I mean, from the jump, it was always so weird seeing Venom without the spider logo. I mean, just look how tough this looks. Oh yeah, and what's the reason why he doesn't have that logo? Because they made a Venom origin movie without Spider-Man. Now, don't get me wrong, I like this movie. I think it's a whole lot of fun, but man, this shit would have hit harder if it was like way down the line, after Venom and Spider-Man had their little beef, then you adapt the Lethal Protector storyline. I mean, it's not like Sony didn't try their asses off to try to get Venom into the MCU. In the post-credit scene for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, you had Venom getting transported to the MCU and staring at Tom Holland on the TV screen. By the way, why is Tom Holland just standing there with his mask off in the middle of New York City Times Square? Mind you, Sony owns the rights to all these characters, so that's why they put him in the scene. Like, this is so goofy, bro. And he did show up at the post-credit scene for No Way Home, only to get transported back right away, leaving behind a little sliver of the symbiote, obviously teasing that Tom is going to get the symbiote suit eventually. Most likely for Secret Wars. That's some edgelord final boss shit right there. But in retrospect, these post-credit scenes really feel like Sony was trying to force Marvel Studios' hand into uplifting their fucking Sony Cinematic Universe of Spider-Man villains with no Spider-Man, because they were just trying to ride the MCU's back. Sony Spider-Man movies are like that illegitimate cousin, third removed, that you just acknowledge at a family party and say, all right, I had enough of you. Honestly, this timeline just never worked for me. You're telling me we're gonna get Venom already as Venom meeting Spider-Man for the first time, a young Peter, like, bro, why are you beefing with kids? Well, actually, they have a symbiote hive mind, so he's gonna shut up. And don't get me wrong, I love Tom Hardy as Venom. I think they really nailed some aspects of the characters, like the interactions with the symbiote itself are great, even though I'm not a big fan of like Venom already being Venom. Venom is supposed to be Eddie and the symbiote combining, and we are Venom. So that kind of defeats the purpose, but I do like the interactions like with itself and like the whole body horror thing. But I'm not gonna hold you. I think Topher Grace's Venom is better. Stop throwing tomatoes. I know, let me explain. I'm not talking about the design, I'm not talking about the act, I'm talking about thematically for that movie. He's way more of Eddie Brock than this Eddie Brock. Like, if you were to somehow combine these two together, then you would have a perfect Eddie Brock. I think he works really well as like a dark mirror of what Peter could have been, like the antithesis of everything that he stands for in those movies. But obviously he has no interaction with the symbiote. He just ain't beefy enough. But this also opens up the door for Tony Revolori to be Agent I couldn't even say that shit with a straight. Please don't do this. It's like them actually considering making Ned Leeds fucking the Hobgoblin. Ain't no way. I don't care if you're teasing it. I do not care. It ain't gonna happen. If they ever make the Hobgoblin in the MCU, make him Roderick Kingsley. Because this isn't even Ned Leeds. This is a rip-off version of Genki. Another thing they stole from Miles Morales. But why I love the fact that this got nixed is because now Tom Holland's Peter can get his own version of Venom. His own Eddie Brock. And who could play Eddie Brock? I mean, if this was Andrew's universe 10 years ago, I think Alan Richardson is like, he looks like Eddie Brock ripped from the comic panel. But that shit passed because he be giving Jack Reacher back shots. And he wants to be Batman instead anyway. For some reason, I feel like Josh Hutcherson would fit the vibe of the MCU. I could definitely see him being a version of Eddie Brock. And he's around the right age, only like 32. But fan casts are pointless. I don't care. I don't do this no more. I used to. So maybe one day we'll get Spider-Man versus Venom in live action. But today is not that day. But let me know what you think about all this news down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.